All right, we're live. Welcome to this webinar. Manage your emotions, the number one secret to get better communication and connection with your husband. So we're going to do it fast and furious today. All of you are here because you want to stop fighting with your husbands or your partners, your loved ones. So if you don't know me, I'll quickly recap my claim to fame. I was managed by my emotions, my most adult life, my teenage life. I've just always been managed by my emotions. I met the love of my life at the age 30. A lot of love and a lot of war. And that's how I grew up. I saw my mom and my stepdad fight. And when it happened in my marriage and it was so extreme and my kids were suffering, I just knew I had to make it my life's mission to stop fighting and start making love instead. And the number one key to doing that is really to manage your emotions, because if you don't manage them, they will manage you and you'll drive off a cliff. So that's why I make this webinar. And that's why during my 10-year marriage, I developed the 12 steps to make love, not war, also called To Lead with Love. And it's basically the same. It's all steps you can take to manage your emotions and then experience what it's like when you get instant connection. And it's been a magical ride. And I've helped a lot of women all over the world. And I love this work. And enough about me. This is all for you guys. So let's get started. Let me share my screen and share the magic. Oops, sharing my screen, but hold on. There we go. Screen. I hope you can see this. The first slide, manage your emotions. Okay, and I call it a secret because it's something we don't do that we should do. And just to make sure you're in the right place. So my target audience and everyone I talk to and that I'm able to help, they have a lot of love for their husbands, but it just comes out the wrong way sometimes. Okay, so you're in the right place if you're an ambitious wife who is wanting to create a better relationship and stop fighting. If you think your relationship is great and fine, you're not in the right place. If you truly want to stop fighting, you're in the right place and you love your husband a lot. And if you're willing to look at what you can do right now, not sit around and wait for what your husband can do. If that's you, you're in the right place. And if you're open to a new path and a different way, you're in the right place, okay? So a lot of love just comes out the wrong way sometimes. Bam, you're where you should be. And I'm sorry I don't have time to take questions today. So I'll maybe make a recap of some of them and send it out to you. Or if you watch this on replay, you can shoot me back an email with questions, okay? All right. And if you're ready to finally get a different result by thinking and seeing and acting differently, this is for you right now. Okay. So first, I want you to imagine this. Just play around with the thought, okay? Imagine that the answer is doing the exact opposite of what you're doing, okay? Everything that you need your reaction, it's the opposite. Everything that's logic to you to say to him, it's the opposite. Just bear in mind, think about what if all the gold, everything you wanted is the other end of the rainbow, it's just opposite. Do the opposite, do the opposite, do the opposite. Wouldn't that be fun or weird? But that's actually the case. It's the opposite, okay? But I also want you to think about this. What if you didn't have to wait for your husband to do anything with you? A lot of the times we're waiting for him to do something, or we feel boxed in a corner. We feel like it's out of our control, like he has to do this or that, or something has to change that we can't do right now. So we put ourselves in this disempowered place. So imagine if you don't have to wait for your husband to do anything. Imagine he doesn't have to go to couples counseling with you. He doesn't have to change any habits. You don't have to wait for him to be romantic. You don't have to wait. Your happiness and the happiness in your relationship is not dependent on anything that he does. Imagine that. Imagine how empowered you would be, because you are, okay? And I also want you to think about this. Imagine if you can get everything you want right now. How awesome would that be? Okay, and there are some more what ifs. What if in the future, when you've learned this training that I'm about to explain to you and you're about to see a little bit of, what if he did everything you wanted him to without you even telling him? Now that's the key part. you not telling him. That is really essential. What if the real key to communication is not even what you say in words, right? The fun fact. We want positive communication. We want this and that communication. But communication and explaining his word in words is a tiny fraction of it. And if you're stuck fighting like I was, communication in words is just not the right tools, okay? So yeah, what if it's not even about communication? Now, some people say that connection is communication. You communicate with someone when you connect to them. And I like that phrase. So what if it's not even about communication and communication skills as we know the word communication, as we think about it? Oh, there's a third what if. A lot of what ifs, but it's to get your mind in the right direction. What if there's a gift in everything that pisses you off about your husband? I call it the gift of learning. And there really is. So next time you get annoyed at something, have this, what if there is a gift of learning in this? And then you can start to laugh about it, actually, or be curious. What's the gift? What's the learning gift in front of me right now? So next time you get agitated, and I don't know if you're like me, but I could get really, really angry uncontrollably. And I was able to manage my emotions and lead myself. And if I'm able to do it and I learned it, so can you. I don't think anybody has been as angry as I have or more managed by their emotions as I haven't seen it, I haven't heard about it. So no matter how managed by your emotions you are, or self-destructive or out of control, or how much stuck in fighting you are, you can apply these methods. Don't worry about it. And if you're not extremely angry, this will help you anyway to get peace and connection and love, okay? But this is to you watching with me today who gets triggered like me, who have different trigger points. What if there's a gift, right? Think about that. What if every trigger was a gold mine, which it actually is? I'm going to show exactly how that is. You're going to learn that when you train with me. You're going to see, and this is a fact. Triggers are gold mines. Embrace them, love them. How rich would you be? I'm very, very rich. I do what I love. Of all the triggers I've encountered, I've learned so much from my husband, now ex-husband, but that's a different story. And still learning, still getting triggered, still getting paid for having learned all these things. There really is gold in the triggers you experience with everybody, even people you encounter in the street, but especially the ones you love, right? So just trust me on that one. That's how rich you probably would be if you're here with me today, if you found the gold in all your triggers. Okay, so, it's a quick introduction of me. My name is Samantha Kierkegaard Poulsen. It used to be Amanda Maya Haywood. I tried to change my name. I was curious. I am the author and the creator of the 12 Steps to Make Love, Not War. And then it was called Lead with Love. And right now I talk a lot about managing your emotions. It's all the same stuff, right? So it's 12 steps and a lot of guiding principles. And the 12 steps just work. And, it's no hocus pocus, but it does, this just what it is. So number one, I now call it admit. It's like admit your bad behavior, don't stay in the excuse. Just a brief presentation. That's who I am. That's what my work is all about. My mission in life is to help you and everybody else out there suffering in a marriage, live with anger, fear, and frustration, is to turn hate back to where it really came from, love. Excuse me. And that's enough about me. But just wanted you to know that I help ambitious wives all over the world. I help ambitious men, but I help them to manage their emotions. And it's when you're ambitious and driven, you want a great marriage, and sometimes you work against yourself with all your energy and all your goodwill and all your ambition. It can work against you, and you push your husband away. You do stuff with the best intention, and it turns out completely the wrong way. I'm here to help you. Authentic. I was just told that you cannot write that you're authentic because that's not authentic, but that's what I get told mostly in my feedback, is that I don't think I'm a normal coach. Very authentic, very different style. And I don't know how to say it. You have to experience me, I think. So try to book a free session with me so you get to know what it's like working with me. But authentic and efficient, and that's what I hear, original and different. Okay, so this is what goes on when we try to communicate. We're actually just, this is what we meant to say, right? I can't remember what I'm supposed to say right here, but this looks fun. I love you, and she throws a hand grenade. I love you too. I never meant to hurt you. I think this is about the time when I was standing by the espresso machine fighting with my husband, but I'm not going to get into that today. But this is the journey, right? This is the journey I was on. This is the journey I can speed up for you. That's me coming home from leadership training. So I was able to help us stop fighting and turn everything around from being extremely stuck at war and being extremely frustrated, not knowing what to do. Like I had no clue. I felt so stuck. I'll never forget standing with my head against the kitchen cupboard and just thinking, how can I hate the ones I love the most so much? How can I be so consumed with hate and anger towards the ones I love the most? And then I went through leadership training, and I went through my own training, and everything happened, and I did the interviews, and I had this entire journey, and I don't know how much you know of me, but that's what I learned, right? I went from war to frustration to peaceful bliss, and I know the recipe, and I'll take you there. Now, this is a cue for me to take questions, but we're not going to take questions today. We're going to make it super sharp and super fast. So if you're watching this and you have questions, hit me up on the email. Me and my team will answer your questions, okay? And this is done a little different and a little faster. So I don't have the usual introductions with me. But what I will say, what my big promise is, when you apply some of what I teach today, you will experience, you can't go home and practice and see. It only takes 1 second to get from fighting to bliss. It really does. This is what you're saying to each other when you're arguing. And the reason is that the only thing that's variable is your insecurity, right? You need proof that he loves you because you're insecure because it's been a while since you've connected and made love. So just know what you're actually saying when you're shouting and you're screaming or you're arguing. If you argue more passively, no matter what's coming out of his mouth or your mouth, this is what you're saying to each other. I want to make love to you, okay? It only takes 1 second. The longest journey of your life really only takes 1 second. You get from frustration to connection to peaceful bliss. Don't give up. I've heard all of this before. Why should this work? I don't know if you've heard it before, but I think I thought that was a funny slide to make. So just to give you some hope, this is to give you hope and inspiration, all right? I remember this lady from Sweden. She had been in therapy for 20 years, stuck in her own stories. And in one session, you made me see and believe more in myself than I ever have in one session. This is just to tell you that it doesn't have to take long. It doesn't have to take years of therapy or couples counseling. It really does not, okay? It doesn't. So it really does take one thing. And Denise, I'll never forget her. And we still talk. She was a client way back. And I just wanted to share this with you. She wrote to me, this was a couple of years ago actually. I'm 52 and I've been looking for this my whole life. It has allowed me such a relief. It's the magic of this work, and it's not because I'm doing anything special. It's just what I have experienced and what God has put into me to put into you, and through my whole entire lifetime with my mom, who's now has been looking down. The journey I've been on just literally has landed these steps for me in this approach, this different approach to managing your emotions, where you just get to see a result immediately because you just see things differently. I take you out of the story that you're stuck in that's going to keep giving you the same result. You just see things differently, and then gradually you're going to act differently because because you keep going at it, right? And then if you can see things differently, which I'll help you with, and ask different questions, and then you don't even have to change, but you see things differently. Sooner or later, you're going to start to pass what I call the test, and you're going to be able to not say that stupid thing you shouldn't say. And when you're able to not do that for the first time ever, it may take a while, but when you're able to, you see you get a different result. That's what I'm here to help you with. See things differently, see things as a test, as a gift of learning, and then boom, wow, different result. And then gradually you take all these bad habits in your brain and you replace them with better habits, one by one, and fail and recommit. Fail and recommit as we do. It's just one foot in front of the other. Implement a new habit, fail, just by trying and by asking the right questions and changing your stories and then going back to your old patterns and up on the horse again. Boom, 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 boom. And it really what it is. So I want to share with you Denise's story because she did a 5-day challenge. And this is what she wrote. I swear he's been listening into these recordings. He's been showing me in so many ways that he loves me. And she was just as stuck with her husband as any of us, right? So no matter what bad shape or situation you're in, we've all been there, okay? Now he's doing so many things. Just when she did a 5-day challenge, right? He wasn't in the challenge or the training. She just changed things within herself during these 5 days. I don't know what homework I gave her. I can't remember. Maybe stop hosting your own pity party, some fun stuff like that. But it just took 5 days of some emails to her, some homework from me, and he started changing. He hadn't even been listening. Like he tries to be cleaner. He hasn't been listening to the recordings, but she feels like it, right? But he hasn't, because we have the power to make our men behave the way we want them to. We hold the power. We're the leaders. They take our lead. When you change just some of your thoughts, some of your initial, internal dialogues, when you just change some of that, he's going to change. Boom. And it's not by you telling him what to do. It's not doing it the old way. It's the new way of you thinking differently. This is what happens, right? We had the most awesome talk, even about feelings. So how many of you out there would love to talk to your husbands about feelings? I don't know a single woman who doesn't dream about talking more about feelings with her husband. Isn't that like the hottest thing ever? When a man generally opens up about his feelings, I go like, ah. All my war and angry wife, anything evaporates. It is the hottest, most amazing thing. And you're able to do what he does to you when he talks about feelings, that instant connection you feel, you can do that to him as well. That's why it only takes 1 second, okay? And still no fight. I don't know FTV, I don't know what the fuck, beep, but I'm just loving it while it lasts. It has given us time to have fun and we see what we can have. Now we're just going to make the choice daily. I just broke down and cried. It felt so good. Isn't that amazing? I still can't believe it. And this was years ago. And I've only been doing this work since started in 2017. I did kind of closetly in the hidden think about and do some couples counseling, more traditional work, but I wasn't like out in the open, so to speak. I just did it on the side, but in 2017, I went all in and this all formed a different style of it and a different way. So anyway, she was in the beginning in 2018 or 2017. So I just want you to know that it works. And if I can do it, if Denise can do it, so can you, right? I can't thank you enough for sharing your life so freely with me. I know it's live on Facebook, but I feel such a deep connection with you. It's almost like you're reading my heart. And it happens to a lot of people because we're attracted by people we're the same as. So you will feel that I understand you and I get you most of the time. That's what my clients say and the people I work with say. You remind me of getting out of my head and be the person I am. And quit being a hater and an angry person. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. So this can be you in any of my trainings. I want to talk to you about Sarah. Because it's a really, really important lesson. One of the most efficient homeworks, I don't remember it, in the 12 steps, step number 8, I think it is stop blaming, okay? So stop blaming is the most magical thing, and it touches on so many things that we don't think about. The fact that our husband has always felt like he's been told he's doing something wrong by women his entire life. It's not your fault, it's nobody's fault. But when you open your mouth, he just has this whole burden of blame and things he's doing wrong on top of him already, okay? So my homework was to Sarah, who was at the bottom of her life and her relationship. She was in the worst place ever, and I really felt with her. And she had so many reasons to complain, right? Blame, complain, kind of the same. But she had this whole list of things. She had to talk about them with me to get them out. Like, He didn't have a job. He didn't have a phone. He didn't want to apply for benefits. He was all alone and supporting. There were piles of stuff in, bikes in the middle of the living room, piles of things he was doing. He didn't want to fix the ceiling and the kitchen, everything. And he didn't want to let anyone else fix it. So many things that she had the right to complain about, right? But her only way forward was to not blame for 24 hours. And it took her 2 calls for 1 hour with me before she signed up. Okay, I'll do it. She paid the money in the program, and her first homework was to not blame for 24 hours. And I got this text. It was amazing. I'll never forget it. He said he loved her, and she couldn't even remember when. This was after 7 years of a really bad marriage. And they had a date night, and yeah, I'm so happy for the development. I'm glad I joined your coaching. So things are moving forward calmly. I bite my tongue, no more fighting. And they were really stuck at it. And this is what it takes when we finally get out of our story. Excuse me. My nose is running. When we finally get out of a story and we take the time to change it. And we listen, and you need a coach, or you need somebody to interrupt those conversations. And it's just amazing what it can do. He said he loved it. And I was just so happy to get this text. So anyways, okay. This is what I shared with you to get you to think, maybe this could work. So, all right. Even if you've, so this is if you're thinking, because I don't know what you're thinking because we're not open in the chat and we can't communicate. If you're thinking, I've tried everything. Rachel was my very first client. And I talked to her after my first show called Make Love Not War. And I remember exactly what she said. First of all, she was crying. She was so happy to have met me because I was so honest in my interviews about how angry I got, right? She thought she was all alone in the world with her anger, and she had tried everything. And she found me via some very peaceful people that were very good at meditation, but they knew nothing about anger, right? So she tried everything. Then she tried the 12 steps. She was actually my very first client. I had no clue what I was talking about at the moment. I hadn't developed the 12 steps. I hadn't, done any of that, but we took it on one by one, and I gave her homework, and we did everything, and we did a lot of other things in her life. So her whole life changed, her professional life, her marriage, her personal life, her family relations. We just took them all, right? She was my one-on-one client, my first really big $10,000 client. So I went all in, of course, to change her life. And she stopped fighting. She decreased her fighting a lot with her husband, and her whole life changed as a result of it. So even if you feel like, I've tried everything, don't give up. Rachel had tried everything. Nothing had worked, right? Except this work by doing the steps, changing your stories, keeping at it, one bad habit at a time, just opening up, being open to love. Yeah, I'll get to explain the magic to you later. But don't worry, if you feel like you tried everything, so did she. So why is this different? Yeah, I think about that too. I've never tried like normal therapy or normal couples counseling, or I've been to a couple of psychologists that were not very good. I heard there's some good one out there, but this is why I think this is different. It's because I'm different. I didn't go to coaching school, right? I don't have to read about this stuff, okay? I watch Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, and 3. That's where I get all my information, or all my knowledge. I really think that they explain it all. And of course, it's my marriage. My 10-year marriage was very special, and I learned a lot. And yeah, I don't know how to explain it. This goes deeper than, a lot of I feel statements and a lot of meditations and this is just different. I think it's a combination of taking action, being honest, being real. And it's just when I lead a group, I just lead it in a way that we get through the charades. We get really real very fast and just move super fast. The more honest you're able to be, the more you can peel off your layers, the easier it is for you to change. So I think I just have an ability to make people peel off their layers quickly because I'm super honest myself. Anyways, that's what I think. I don't know. You have to try it. Questions? We don't have time for that because we want to do this make super fast. So this is a slide I made, and I wonder what I'm supposed to say in this slide. Yeah, it's about positioning myself. These are some of the experts that I've worked with and that in what do you call it? Endorse my work, have participated in it, have have said good for it. It's Kelly Kashaw. You will know her from the Ford Institute. You probably know Ford. You can't see. I'm in the middle of Oprah's picture. She's like the main person to position here. So this is me next to Kelly Kashaw, whom I'm interviewing about shadow work, which is also like triggers and stuff like that. And she's the CEO of the Ford Institute. And this is the late Betty Ford. And boom, here's a celebrity that's supposed to be the whole reason for the slide, I think, which is, of course, is Oprah Winfrey. And the late Debbie Ford, who died of cancer at 58, same age as my mom, who actually was the reason when she died that I started this whole work. I was in investment banking and IT startup, venture capital, completely different game. My mom passed away, and then that just changed. For some bizarre reason, the day she died, my former IT partner and business partner, like kind of just stole the company, ran off with it, and I couldn't do anything. I was kind of, and my whole track and way of thinking, it just happened to be coaching and make love, not war. So that it changed when she died, and I just found out the same age as Debbie Ford. So interesting. Anyways, I've worked with and interviewed over 100 of the world's best experts in communication, self-development work, and love relationships. And what I learned from them, actually, they all supported me. It was great and great in my development. But when I came home to my husband, I couldn't use anything from what they taught me. It actually made it a little worse because he doesn't want to do couples meeting. He never asked me out on a date. Doesn't mean he doesn't love me. And of course, it makes me insecure. But I could actually get more hurt from what all these experts told me because I couldn't apply it in my marriage. So I had to develop my own steps to lead with love and to get what I wanted and to get to love. I had to take 100% responsibility. Like my husband, you couldn't have plans. You couldn't say, what about bedtimes? I remember the first time I asked him about bedtime. We didn't have kids of our own, but I moved in with him, and he had his oldest son who was 3.5. And he said, bedtime, it has to be when I feel for it. Like I had so many obscure challenges in my relationship, and he loves me, and there's no doubt about it. It's just, you couldn't apply the normal rules and the normal tools that you have in a relationship, which was great because that's how I developed this work. Anyways, I talked to all these amazing people. They all love the work and they all endorse it. So I think the reason for this is it's just called positioning. And it's kind of like having authority. Yeah, and also to tell you, I couldn't have done it without this help. So up here, we have Janet O'Neill. She started work-life balance for IBM back in, I don't know when, 82, maybe in New Jersey. Beautiful person. I interviewed her. The interview is out there for her, for you guys to see if you want. And Mark Goldstein, sorry. He's amazing. He works in hostage negotiations with communication. And he wrote also a book called Talking to Crazy, but everybody was covering the cover, but they like it. So he's great at communication. So what I teach is inspired, of course, from these people, and they've helped establish everything that I teach. And this, of course, is Miguel Ruiz Jr. We had such a fun time. It was just great connecting with these people. And hit me up if you want to watch any of the interviews. Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., he's amazing. His dad, Miguel Ruiz, he wrote the 4 Agreements, which is used by the Navy SEALs in the US. So amazing, amazing people. Thank you. So this is what you will know after the next, we're going to shoot for a little less. You'll know how to manage your emotions, what to change right now, and you'll have hacks to bypass miscommunications and get straight to connection, okay? If you stay with me, and it's not gonna be an hour and a half, it's gonna be shorter. This is what you will learn, okay? And why is it so important? Why should you spend time with me today? And why should you pay attention to this? Because either you're managing your emotions or they manage you, okay? You either manage your emotions or they manage you. If you're managed by your emotions, and by this I mean fear, control, insecurity, and triggers, if they get to dictate how you do, how you behave, what you feel, like you feel initially triggered, but if you can't then manage it. So there's a difference between an emotion and a feeling. So maybe it should be manage your feelings, really. But when you get an emotion, you decide if it develops into a feeling, okay? But if you're in the state that I was, and you're managed by emotions, which I was most of the time, like in a pity party or when you're blaming or complaining, you just can't receive love. In that period of time when you're managed by your emotions negatively, you can't receive love. It's impossible to get love in, okay? And insecurity is in the driver's seat. And here's what happens when insecurity is in the driver's seat. You drive off a cliff, right? You don't want that. So that's literally what it's all about. It's like looking at that, we have this exercise. We call it Sarah, actually, a monkey that will always be there. The insecurity whispering in your ear, he doesn't love you. You can never live together. Like, you can never live with him and be happy. And she's there talking, right? And you feed her some bananas. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. You feed her some bananas. You tell her, hey, I'll be taking over the steering wheel. It's good to see you, though. I'll take the steering. I'll be in the driver's seat. You don't want to have the monkey, your insecurity. You don't want Sarah sitting there steering because you're going to drive off a cliff. And you know who it is. She's the one that starts up the pity party. It's the one, the voice, that conversation. It's all about these conversations and these stories, right? And the one she's saying, you feed her bananas. You acknowledge she's there. It's not going to go away. It's not going to disappear, okay? So that's why it's important. So here it is. Da-da-da-da-da, drum roll. The number one secret to communication is how you communicate with yourself. I think I gave it away with Sarah. It's how you communicate with yourself. It's not what you tell your husband. It's what you tell yourself. What are you telling yourself when you pick up his socks? What are you telling yourself when he's done something you think is annoying? What are you telling yourself when this, that, and the other, right? What stories are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself you married a loser? Are you telling yourself he's lazy? Are you telling yourself he doesn't love you because if he did, he would do this and that and the other? Are you telling he's not loving you enough? How do you communicate with yourself? Okay, that's what it's all about. That's the secret to communication. Okay, so how do you manage your emotions? You manage your mind. End of story. So how do you manage your mind? And I'm equally as curious as you to see what I wrote on the next slide because I don't remember. Okay, so this is a new question. What runs your mind? Okay, now I see where I'm going with this. So your stories manage your mind, right? And you manage your mind by managing your stories. And there are three types of stories. There are stories from a trauma before puberty. These are deep-rooted insecurities placed in us from childhood. It's always a variation of, I'm not worthy of love. He doesn't love me. Like if you're thinking to yourself sometimes when you're insecure, I can't be happy and live with him at the same time. Because I'm going to be unhappy living with him because of his habits. What you're really saying underneath it all is, I don't deserve love. You may not see the connection, but all of our stories of traumatic experiences before puberty are that. I'm not worthy of love. We all have them, right? And then there's the day-to-day stories we tell ourselves. And I actually cut these in to two things. So there's a story you tell ourselves when we pick up our husband's socks and tell ourselves he's lazy. And then there's the stories we tell our girlfriends and our moms and our family because we're desperate. We don't understand him. We don't know what to do. We're puzzled. We're like, I don't even know if anybody's actually trying to get into this chat room. Just great to see you. Okay, we're all in. Good. Sharing screen again. Here we go. Good. So the deep-rooted traumatic experience stories, I'm not worthy of love, or limiting beliefs that are deeply rooted in us, are day-to-day stories. And those day-to-day stories, sooner or later, you're going to snap at your husband if you keep telling yourself that he's so lazy and he doesn't love you enough to pick up his socks. If that's the story, sooner or later, you're going to snap at him for not picking up those socks if that's the story you tell yourself every time you pick them up, or whatever the situation is, okay? So that runs your mind, but not only your mind, it runs how you're going to behave towards your husband. The story is an excuse for you to lose your beep, to lose it, right? And then I think the third one, this could go into actually, okay, it's a different way of dividing up. We all have secrets and fears and insecurities, right? We all have hopes and dreams. That runs our mind. Unfortunately, most of what we focus on is our fears and insecurities. If we're focused more on our hopes or dreams, that would be great, right? But you can also say that stories run your mind and your ability not to think is how you manage your mind. But this is what runs your mind, right? Secrets and fears, we don't tell anybody. Day-to-day stories, deep-rooted trauma. How do you manage your mind? Peace of mind. We're not going to get into that. But the best way to manage your mind is to not use your mind. Shut it off. Meditate, right? Listen to theta, Theta sounds. Anything that shuts it up, get you in that whole different space. Tease up mind. You manage your mind by being aware of and admit the stories. Like look at from above, what story am I telling myself? You open up your mind to manage it. And opening up means you reveal those stories that you don't want to share. Those secrets are just those day-to-day stories that, like for me, I think up to 7 years into my marriage, I had this feeling of revenge. I'd feel like, you did this to me. I'm going to get you back. And I literally wanted like revenge, like those things. If that's the story in your head, you got to open it up, own it, admit it in order to change it. And then just change your stories, right? Simply ask yourself, what can I do right now without blaming, complaining? If you ask that question, you're changing the story. Instead of saying, it's okay for you to cry and feel sorry for yourself. He's the villain. He did that to hurt you, which we're really saying when we open up our mind. You can change that. You could actually immediately, like step number 3, trust is love. Any argument will stop as soon as you trust is love. Think about that. And trust is a choice. And you always have that choice available to you. We're just so into our habits of saying what we think, thinking about a solution on this practical level, that we don't even see how we can stop fighting immediately. But that's why we need to learn it. Okay. Why is my picture in the office? Here we go. Okay. So the number one thing women ask me for help with is this: how to communicate better with my husband and not lash out when he shuts down or I get angry with him. So that is why this was also way back. That is why I made this. Just make sure that I'm recording. Cool. That is why I made this exercise. In order for you to communicate better with your husband and not lash out when he shuts down and you get angry with him. So I looked at this, when he shuts down or I get angry with him. And then I developed this cool exercise, which also is how we apply the number one secret, which is it's not about how we communicate with the husband, but how we communicate with ourselves. How to apply that in real life. If you want peace, you have to admit how you feel and be 100% real. Honest with yourself. And ask yourself, how do you feel? So this is taken from what I was asked way back. So in order not to get angry when he shuts down, or not to lash out, communicate better with him when you get angry with him or he shuts down, ask yourself, how do you really feel? So let's go through this exercise. And so I don't know what it's like at your house, but this was what it was like at mine. That's me, the lion, screaming, and my husband goes right into his shell. Sometimes I wouldn't even know that I've been, but he just go into his shell and I get so frustrated. Like, get back out here. What are you doing? Like, I felt so lost, and I felt so, we'll get into that when he went into his little shell, right? And he loves turtles, by the way. And I really think he's a turtle. It's a good thing. Okay, so how does it feel when he shuts down? Ask yourself that. Or whatever it is that's going on. This was what she wrote to me. What happens when he shuts down? This is what I feel: pain, like exaggerated, dramatic pain. Like, oh, it hurts. That's literally how I felt back when I was really managed by my emotions. And this helped me to see things, this exercise. So listen to this. This is important. Hear me out here, right? That's number one thing. And this happens really fast. Pain, and then pity. My next question. First it was, ow, it hurts, just pain. And then I felt, this is what I asked. This is the story I told myself. Why doesn't he love me anymore? I felt pity. When I get consumed with pity, it's a mess, right? And he's completely repelled in a way. Like, I can't receive love. I totally create everything myself in my pity parties. Used to, I don't have them anymore. Thank God, I'm sober. So many days sober from pity parties. My third feeling, get real about how I feel, was blame. So, ow, it hurts. And then pity, why doesn't he love me anymore? And then you did this. Look at that baby. Really angry. You did this. And I remember when I didn't feel that way anymore, I felt really super developed. I don't have vengeance anymore in my relationship. But after I felt this, I did feel revenge at the time. I'm going to get you back. So when I felt like you did this to me, I turned around. I either went to revenge, and once I went to what I think my husband goes to most of the time, defense. Right? I remember exactly where I was when I went to defense mode. And I like this, I'm never going to let you back in. I was just, instead of revenge, I just went like, I'm going to build a fortress around my heart. I'm going to shut you out forever, which is what happens when he goes into his little turtle shell. He goes to defense, right? He just has that mechanism more instinctively and more like stuck on a day-to-day defense, where mine was like never letting in. Then I felt frustration, right? So it goes from pain, pity, blame, and frustration, and revenge or defense. And then frustration, after you go through all that lashing out back, you go, ah, fuck. Excuse my French. I did it again. I ruined everything. That's when you feel hopeless and frustrated with yourself. And then after frustration, I felt like a failure. And this is the number one trigger I have, is feeling like a failure in love, because I'm a loving woman. All my powers lie there. Loving is my superpower, and not being able to use my superpowers. We're all created here on earth to love, to give and receive love. Nothing triggers us more than feeling not able to love the ones we love. Like, to hurt my husband when I just want to love him is like feeling like the biggest failure. That's my number one, probably yours too, is that's my trigger. I hate feeling like a failure in love. Because I hate it so much, here comes my other reaction, right? And this happens really fast. Pain, pity, you did this. Blame, revenge or defense, frustration, failure, and then an immediate need to fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. It all happens really fast. When he shuts down due to something I said or did, immediately need to fix it, exactly like Schwarzenegger. Because I can't bear being a failure in love. I just can't bear it. So I want to fix it. I'm interested to know if you're listening to this on replay, or if you're in the chat, let me know if this relates to you. I really want to know if you feel the same. What stories are you telling yourself? Do you also have an immediate need to fix it? Because I learned that my need to fix it and get him out of his shell was all due to me not wanting to feel like a failure in love. So I was actually still on my own agenda when I went in to get him out of his shell. And I learned, and I remember it so clearly, I learned to just trust it and wait it out and just know he had a reason to be in his shell. I put him there. I had something I said or did, and that's okay. And I just sit and pat him on the back and wait till he was good and ready to come out. When I tried to get him out because I wanted to right my own wrong being saying something that made him go into his shell, and hating the fact that I disconnected our love. I just really loved being connected again. And then I ripped it apart myself. And when I was okay with that, and when I wasn't desperately trying to get him back out because I so wanted to undo, and I was just like, okay. And just, he would come out so much fast, right? So don't try to yank him out of his shell if he's in there. Just wait it out. Trust yourself, trust his love, trust, okay? Because otherwise you're still telling him he's doing something wrong. If you're trying to pull him out of his shell when he's not ready, he's going to hear the same thing he's heard in his entire life and in all his relationship. You're telling him, you're doing something wrong. I want you out. You're not coming out. You're not ready. You're doing something wrong. So don't try to get him out of his shell, okay? Ask yourself this at any given time. When you're, do you want to be right? This applies like all the time. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to get to connection? You can't have it both ways. Only if your story is that he loves you a lot, right? But if your story is this, that, and the other, if your story is loser love, or if your story is you should pick up your socks then the marriage will be fine. If you just listened, if you just understood all of this, you can be right about it, but you'll never be happy, okay? You're never happy when you're communicating stories to yourself that are not stories and facts, that the fact is that your husband loves you and doesn't mean to hurt you. If your story is any of the other stories, the negative ones, where you go into pity or blame or revenge, then you can be right about it. You can argue about it, and everybody can tell you you're right. You can make a clear case, and in any court, you'll be right, but you won't be happy. He just doesn't get you the connection, okay? So how on earth do we change our stories? Understand the power of your stories. Control your stories. Choose to tell yourself a different stories. I also have 3 steps that I always go through, which is honesty, responsibility, and then choice. I see choice is number 3 here. I think honesty is key. And I still think it should go by honesty, responsibility, and choice. But first of all, understand the power of your stories. And then control your stories. You can simply ask yourself a different question. Like, gee, I wonder what it's like for him. That's actually also what I call creating a connection, but also taking responsibility. So the whole key is that you can't be wondering, oh, I wonder what it's like for him. If you're only in your own pity party mode, if you're only seeing your own hurt, you're disconnected. You have to forget about your own hurt for just long enough to look over and above it and see, and just think, gee, it's all about what you think. I wonder what it's like for him. Then you're connected to him. When you forget about your own pain for just long enough, just a split second, to connect with him and ask, gee, then you focus more on what it's like for him, and then you see he doesn't try to hurt you, and then your pain dies down, and you can continue the connection. So this is a connection with your mind, okay? And then you can choose yourself a different story, which is, he didn't mean to hurt me, because you were wondering, gee, I wonder what it was like for him. Oh, then you can go in the story, oh, he loves me, right? But you can't when you're in the story that he hurt you on purpose, right? So this is development process in the honesty, right? And I'm wondering if that's what these slides are about. Yes, honesty. Admit your stories. You gotta admit that you feel you hate him, or you feel like he doesn't love you, whatever it is, just admit it, right? Don't stay in it. Take responsibility. I created the story, and I can ask a question and connect with my husband, and I can tell another, right? It's very simple. Admit, responsibility, you create the story. Nobody else is telling it to you. You can choose a different one. Okay, how do I start this journey? Practice. Yeah, manage your emotions one story at a time. That's how you do one good habit, and you admit a bad habit, you admit it, and you try to exchange it with a good one. And if you don't, you fail and you recommit. Look at your stories. Admit your stories, one story at a time. Take control over it, realize that you tell it, choose to tell a different one story at a time. We all have stories that keep coming up. So you change your habits one story at a time. You keep choosing honesty, you keep failing and recommitting. Always the question, how do I really feel? So firstly, I get hurt, triggered, I feel like my husband is doing something, and you stay in that story. And if you're really hurt, you can stay in there for a long time, but you can gradually choose more and more honesty as your hurt dies down, you become more sane again. We're all very insane when we make these stories. What not to do. Do not share what you're thinking or feeling with your husband. Number 1 key, when you're in this process, what I call the recognition process, don't share what you're feeling with him. Wait till you're at the end of it. And in general, don't share what you're thinking or feeling with your husband, unless you're thinking how wonderful he is and you love him. That you can share, right? He gets totally confused. He doesn't follow. It's dynamite, right? I know you have a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts. We do. Tell them to me, tell them to your girlfriend, tell them to your family. Don't share them with your husband, okay? So what is honesty? Just to understand what we're working with. It's the quality or fact of being honest, fairness, freedom from deceit or fraud. I think the last part is most important. And be honest about you, not him, right? Very important. If you're honest about how pissed off you are, blah, 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 that doesn't work, okay? It's about you, not him. Together with vulnerability. Honesty becomes a superpower, and it is the number 1 superpower when it's used correctly together with vulnerability. And it's not about what you say. It's not, oh, I'm just being honest. It's not what you say in words, it's what you feel when you say it, right? That creates an instant connection. If you use honesty and vulnerability, boom, and then you just feel it. You're connected to anybody, anytime. It's magic. Okay, so when can I start to speak to my husband? Yeah, so there's a reason why honesty and vulnerability is step number 10. I just truly find that my best advice is when in doubt, don't talk. Smile, have a good feeling. Words can really, really hurt like dynamite. So use it together with vulnerability. Open to assault, susceptible to wounded or hurt. Vulnerability is really, really powerful. And Brené Brown wrote a whole book about it, the power of vulnerability. I like the power of honesty. Together with vulnerability comes a superpower. So when do I know if I'm ready to speak to my husband? Manage your mouth. So managing your emotions is about managing your mind, and you manage your mind in order to manage your mouth, because your husband actually doesn't know what's on your mind, apart from the fact that he can feel. It's not what you say, it's how you feel when you say it. But most of the time he doesn't know until you say it, right? So you're doomed when you say it. But if you feel any blame inside of yourself, if you can ask yourself that, that would be great. And you'll really come a long way. Me, I wasn't able to stop and ask anything, just blurt it out. But if you can stop and ask yourself, do I feel any blame inside? Or ask, what is my intention with speaking? Before you speak, ask yourself that. And if you sense any blame inside, stop talking. You're not ready to talk to your husband. Now come to the light bulb moment that I already revealed, okay? So you're ready to talk to your husband when you don't feel any blame inside. Because it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you feel when you say it, okay? Next question, which I turned a bit around, is what is my intention with opening my mouth? Okay, so you don't have any blame inside, you're good to go, you can talk. Then you ask this question, what is my intention? Before you open your mouth. This is the ideal picture, right? Any blame? Oh, great, no blame, perfect. Very rarely. We don't feel any blame for our husbands, very rarely. Good, you can talk. What is my intention? If you're able to say that even before you open your mouth, it's going to be a success 9 out of 10 times. You also ask, what do I want? This is why I start all my sessions with whole hour. What do you want? Why is that important to you? And we always come to this conclusion. First, I want him to do this, that, the other. I want to do that. It's not about the mess around the house. What you want is love and connection. That's always the answer, but you got to get real and admit that that's what you want. So there are two things you need to admit in order to manage your mind and communicate, because you tell yourself better stories. Two things: admit your insecurity. What are you afraid of? Admit that what insecurity is going on inside of you, plus admit what you really want. That will put you in the right direction. Here are some principles to manage your emotions. What we look for, we see. So if you look for proof that he loves you, you're actually looking for proof that he doesn't love you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be looking for proof. You're only looking for proof that he loves you when you're insecure and you're about to tell yourself a story that he doesn't love you. That's why you're looking for proof. So when you look for proof, you're actually telling yourself that he doesn't love you. And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see proof that he doesn't love you. And most of the time, because we're like this, I want to see proof, I want to see proof, we become hyper-focused because we're stressed, right? We get stressed way more easier than men. In moderate stress, we have 8 times more blood flow to the hippocampus part of our brain. So in stress, hyper-focused on one proof. Like for me, it was beer bottles on the table. Like, has he moved them? Proof, we can't live together, right? So what we look for, that proof, we will see. So if we look for it to see that he loves us, we will see that. But we're actually not looking to see if he loves us when we feel it, because then we don't feel like a need. We have a need to look for anything, really. So anyway, but what we see is what we get. So what we look for, we will find and see. And what we then stare at and see is exactly what we're going to get. That's the reality in the world we get, okay? And what we tell ourselves, what we tell is what we sell. Sometimes what we tell is what we sell. Yeah. So what we say is what we enroll ourselves into believing, and our husbands into believing. I think that's what I meant with that. So be aware what you look for, be aware what you're looking at, and be aware what you say, because that's what you sell. What you say is what you sell. There's a lot of funny stuff here, a lot of funny sayings. So, does he love me? You become insecure the longer it's been since you last made love and connected, right? So your insecurity goes up, and then you start to look for evidence. What it says down here on the slide I made. And then that's when you're doomed. When you're here looking for evidence, it's gonna go, ugh. So control your insecurity levels, or at least get real about the fact that you're insecure. And trust is love. Like, trust is literally a choice. You don't have to look for evidence that he loves you. You can just zone in, zoom in, or whatever you call it, and just trust that he loves you, because you know that, right? You do know that. But you can become insecure because it takes a while. But don't try to figure out that he loves you in an interaction with him. You can just sit by yourself and meditate and know that he loves you, or fill yourself up with love some other way, and then come back. Because when you're desperately looking for it, you're trying to get that proof out of him, you're pushing him away, and you're never going to get it. So if you're there and you're looking for proof that he loves you, you got to go outside actually to find it inside yourself, which is to build yourself up with more love, self-care, then come back. Okay, but just know that as your insecurity levels go up and down, the longer it's been since you connected. So if you're able to jump right in and connect with him, do that. But if you're coming into him and looking for proof that he loves you, you're not going to find it. Okay, so just one story at a time. Get real about how you feel. It's the big sum up, the quick sum up. And practice honesty and vulnerability. Let me know if this is helpful. It's helped a lot of women. It helped me, and I see it working all the time, but I want to know exactly how this applies to you. So please shoot me an email if you're watching the replay. Otherwise, write in the chat. I'll check out the chat after I log off, and I'll copy paste it, and I'll see all your questions and your remarks. So please let me know. Okay, and if you're watching the replay, shoot me an email. Do not practice honesty with girlfriends and mom. This is really important. I don't know how many of you read the book that I wrote, Words to Choose. No, sorry. Words to Use in Order to Choose Love. Right. Don't be honest about how annoying things are your husband are doing. Don't be honest with your girlfriends and your mom, unless it's vulnerability and honesty with you, but still it should be with your husband, right? Only tell your girlfriends and your family good things about your husband. Okay, that's what I mean with this sentence is don't say or think anything negative about your husband. That will really, really help you. Okay? Because if you start saying these things that frustrate you about your husband to your girlfriends, to your mom, it's just not going to help you. Hold yourself and your husband to a high level of, just to be really stubborn about this point. Don't ever think or say anything negative about your husband. That's the number one thing that's going to help you to lead your emotions. And this is a second. Don't try to make your husband understand how you feel, because it's never going to happen. It's a dead-end road. It's you desperately trying to get to feel connection by him understanding you, and it's not going to happen that way. He just has a different brain. You can get your girlfriends and your mom to understand you, but then you're saying something negative about your husband. So, okay. That's why you should find a safe community with a good leader, such as I in our communities, and for anyone else is very, very competent as well. There are a lot of good communities out there with great leaders where you can really share and be open and honest. They will guide you to have the right conversation, right? So that's what happens when you're in a group with a good leader. They will make sure that everybody learns from the conversation, and the conversation doesn't go rotten like in one bad direction. Let me just see. Admit. We have Sharon joining us. Hey Sharon, welcome. We're at the end of this, but I will send you a replay. It's been recorded. Good. So these are just some do's and don'ts. Don't practice honesty with your girlfriend and mom. Don't say or think anything negative about your husband. Just giving Sharon a quick recap. Don't try to make your husband understand how you feel. Find a safe community with a good leader and share in there, because they will guide the conversation so it doesn't become like a whole bitch party, or just the conversation goes in the right direction. What is the cost? What is the cost of not learning this and not learning to manage your emotions and not taking the time to practice honesty and look at your stories and try to change them? It's years of fighting. Bad role model to your children, right? It's not living out your full potential at home or in business. I truly don't believe you can be a great leader at work if you can't lead yourself and you can't lead your family. So you're fighting in your marriage with your kids, you're not a good leader at work. You're not living out your full potential. And you get a roller coaster life. It is exhausting for you and your family. You don't have to live that way. And this is when you're managed by your emotions, right? And you don't learn to manage them. And You'll never know. And worst of all, your family, your kids will never know when the next explosion hits, right? It's a big, big cost. So what happens if you don't, I made an abbreviation, manage your emotions. So this is to make you take action and commitment in order to learn to manage your emotions, right? Your emotions and your environment, I actually don't know exactly what I meant here. Your emotions and your environment, they affect your learnings and your values and your behaviors and your beliefs. And then if you don't manage your emotions, you're never going to get up to your whole soul-like purpose and your identity and feelings where everything flows and you're in your flow state. Because your emotions are going to push you down, and they're going to dictate your behaviors and your beliefs and your feelings, and that's going to dictate your learnings and your values. I think that's what I mean here. I forgot a little bit. Anyways, you're going to run around like a headless chicken, as my dear beloved husband used to say. And this is exactly what's going on when you're managed by your emotions. And Sharon, you can write in the chat if you want. I think I have access to the chat if you have any questions, or otherwise we will take that conversation after. Just stay here. Sharon McDonald. Okay. Are you ready to change your stories? Are you ready to change just one word? You can actually change everything right now by just changing one word. Are you ready to get really honest? Do you want to get a better relationship? This is where I'm getting you all to say yes. Do you want a better relationship? Do you want that match to go like the end of the tunnel? But the whole point is that if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you just go down there and you light it yourself. Manage your emotions now. Don't say or think a negative word about your husband. That is my homework for you. If you can do that, that's how you manage your mind. That's how you start becoming a leader instead of a follower of your emotions, is when you commit to not say or think a negative thing about your husband. Make that decision. I remember when I made it, I hung up the phone with my mom. Just, it's not helping for me to have these conversations. She's going to say, oh, you're right. My girlfriends are going to say, oh, you're right. He should do this and that. They're always going to say you're right. And that doesn't help you, okay? Make the decision and then fail and recommit. When you fail and you say another negative thing or you think it, then you just fail and recommit to not saying it. Okay. Start by flipping just one word. This is an exercise from the book I told you about, Words to Use in Order to Choose Love. This is what changed my life when I became a manager of my emotions. What negative word do you often say about your husband? Now, we just have Sharon in the chat right now. I think you can answer in the chat if you want, Sharon. What negative word do you often say or think about your husband? I know mine was like lazy. Let's see if I have the chat here somewhere. And lazy, yeah, I see some lazy, yeah, slow, inconsiderate, all of these things. Okay, so let's take lazy, slobbish, and slow, and indecisive, not taking action. Okay, and just flip them around to the positive, right? So the positive of being slow could be he's very patient. And the positive of being indecisive is just never nags you to do anything, right? So when I flipped these words around myself, this is what I found out. The positive side of the negative things that triggered me in my husband, like, oh, you're so slow. He's patient, he's grounded, he's deep-rooted, he's actually efficient, and he's thorough. So instead of saying, oh, you're so slow, if you think he's slow, you could flip that word and begin to say thorough. So begin saying the positive instead of the negative. Find the connection, find the words that you most bitch about with your husband or talk to your friends about that is annoying you, and then think of the positive trait and then flip it around. Slow is could be thorough, patient, and it could be grounded. And so you find out these qualities, and what happened is you actually find out that that's exactly what you need. Those are the qualities that you need to learn. So I've learned patience from my husband. I was impatient before I met him. I'm still at my root core impatient, but I've learned patience from him, and it's such an important quality. Everything I've learned from him, especially about patience, is what I need to live out my full potential. That's what I mean. When you don't manage your emotions and you don't get the learning gifts from the one you love that triggers you, when you don't turn that, you will never live out your full potential. I could never reach people if I wasn't patient. I would never connect with people if I didn't learn what my husband has learned me, which really triggered me. It triggered me so much. But just see the gift of learning and everything that triggers you about your husband, and just make a commitment to flip those words. Say, honey, you're so thorough, instead of slow, right? Just make fun about it and say the opposite. Just change that one word to the positive. When you start saying it, this is a hack. Normally you can't hack yourself, but this really works. Hack by just flipping that word to the positive. So identify what negative words you most use to complain about your husband. Stop complaining, but then flip it to the positive. So whenever your girlfriends start to, talk down about their husband being so slow or being something, or even if it's about yours, you just turn it to the positive. You just be really stubborn about that. Mm-hmm. So slow, efficient. Say it out loud with conviction. Honey, you're so efficient. Choice and commitment. Don't say or think a negative word about your husband. Are you with me on that? Please answer me in the chat. Are you committed to that? Be committed. What happens tomorrow after you've seen this great lecture? You re-see it on the replay, because I'm going to send it to the people who are on late. So what happens tomorrow? Average learning retention rate. This was a lecture, so you're going to remember 5% tomorrow at best, right? You read it again. If I send the slides to you and you read it, you're going to remember 20. You can remember 20% if you both hear and read it. So maximum 20%, right? If I demonstrated it and you watched the demonstration, 30. If there was a discussion group, 50, which is what you get in group programs, right? Practice by doing, which is also what you get in group programs, it's 75. Right? Teaching it to others, which is actually also what happens in group programs, you get 90%. So I love this triangle because my whole program is made based on it without me actually knowing it. These things that can happen tomorrow, if you join a group program like mine, or find a community, you find a coach, doesn't have to be tomorrow, but just, this is what can happen in the future if you find the right place. You don't go back to normal. You learn these things, you have these aha moments, and you don't go back to normal. Instead of everything going back to normal, this is what can happen instead. You do this alone, and you see improvements, and then you go back to normal. Okay. So A, you do nothing and you go back to normal. Or B, you do this alone without a group and you read it and you try it out, which is great. Then you will improve, but then you'll go back to normal. The only way to do what is called transformation, I had no clue what that word meant, but it actually means you increase your awareness and you transform and you change permanently, right? And that happens when you get support in a community. It just cannot happen alone by you reading a book or a manual. It can't happen. It probably can't even happen in one-on-one coaching, because you gotta be in a group. You gotta be teaching it to others as well as you learn it. You gotta do group work for things to improve permanently. That's just what this leader training does. You're in a group. Do you want to know what option C can look like when you're in a group and when you're in a community? Yes. Okay, good. Training and support. You get trained by a mentor, you apply the teaching now, you get intimate in that mentor group, you share your experience, you practice honesty and vulnerability, and you get to 75%, and you can also even get to 90 when you start sharing with others, when you have your success stories and you start sharing it with others. If there are any questions, let me know. So this is how I do it. I have a Facebook group with 12 other women where we teach the 12 steps. So imagine there's 12 other women in a group. You get daily mentoring and support when you need it. You don't have to hop in every day, but it's actually whenever you need it. So what happens in my trainings is if something going on, you have a breakdown or you have a breakthrough, you share immediately. And I even shared from the bathtub once because it just had something on my mind. So we're really close in this group, right? And with everything that's going on, you get really honest. You talk about more honest than you do with anybody in your whole life, like more than your friends. And it's there 24 hours when you need it, but you don't have to be there. It's only when you need it, right? And it's customized to you and what you need, and you get specific homework. And we have weekly live calls where we're on for 1 hour on Zoom. And then I have the weekly audio files of the 12 steps. And this is 12 weeks training, right? So week 1, you practice step 1, which is acknowledgement, also called admit, recognition. You practice honesty. So whatever happens during the first week of breakdowns with your husband or with something in your life, boom, you practice honesty. And there's an audio file for every step that you just listen to. There might be some homework, otherwise you'll get some, but it's all adapted to where you are. So it's audio files, not a big fan of writing. And you take one step at a time in my group coaching. This is what I'm mostly focused on, is that you just practice one step at a time, because then when you fall down on that step and you start climbing up the ladder again, you've practiced it, you become better and better at it, but you practice it one at a time, because the brain can just go to one thing, right? So the girl who got the homework, stop blaming, that will happen 1 week. That's what we practice for a whole week, stop blaming, right? You get coaching on it. You tell me how to go in the live, and we go back and fail and recommit. Within 24 hours, she had that huge breakthrough, right? But it's one step at a time. And this is what I say most in my training. Stay on your own turf. Don't think about what your husband should or shouldn't do. Think about what you can do right now without blaming, complaining, or hosting a huge pity party. Stay on your own turf. It's the most efficient way to train and to learn and to get a different result. You will never get a different result when you focus on what he should or shouldn't do. Just focus on what you could do better. So let's see what happens. How do you change your thought patterns? This is a real life example from a group back in 19. Yeah, so Jack, she's went on public here. It's okay to use her name. So what I want to show you is 27 comments before she went and said, but you're right. And I do love to hear that. You're right, I need to find a way to be vulnerable. So we have these, and I will be there. My team will be there to discuss with you until you get where you need to be in your mind, okay? I don't give up. It's 27 comments, whatever it takes, we will get you there. Like if you saw before, I hate feeling like a loser is my trigger, because I want to give it all to you. I do not give up on you. I am so super dedicated to you. My team is. So we're in there 24/7 for your transformation. There's a guarantee you will get your mind around this. You will get different results. You will learn it. You'll practice it. Okay. We all need someone to get our mind right sometimes. So 27 comments. Okay. You get a sense of direction of getting out of your own way. I don't give up on you. Another 19 questions. I'm ready to start. I feel the push. So please point me in the direction I should go into for this next step. You're right. I keep myself busy to distract myself. So I work with some really strong, powerful women like myself, which is great, but it's also very hard to change our minds and our stories because we're so set in our ways. We control, we survived so many things that we have this armor and this shell. So I get to bust through that, right? But you're right. And it's my challenge to get through to you and my team, right? And then you will be like, okay, I'm all ears, what to do. And I do that too. That's why I need to be, when I'm being trained and coached by my hypnotherapist, my people that work with me, I got to get in the space of accept and surrender, mostly surrender, and then being led, right? But it can be hard when we're strong, but I am 100% committed to it. I'm strong myself, so I can lead you even though you're very strong, okay? And then we lead with love, okay? Yeah, we'll get you to manage your emotions so you can lead with love. We'll get you to get yourself there. How was the rest of your day and this morning? My son asked, okay, this is a great example. So she had the most just extreme examples and transformation. My son asked for sugar after dinner and he kept asking like he does. And normally I would give in. And I told him, you already had a box of Smarties, so I'm sorry, but the answer is going to remain no. I was surprised, but also happy that he actually listened. This is what happens when you get help and support. And it's not me doing anything, it's just the help and support, right? She had a complete turnaround. This may be hard to explain right here. And this is for the moms who want to get a better relationship with their kids. But the same will happen with your husband. You will get a different result. He did ask 20 times, of course, but what I'm glad about is that I didn't just give in as I normally do. So you will encounter these same transformations in the reaction from your surrounding. And sometimes it happens so fast that your husband will act different or your kids will act different. You'll go like, whoa, me too. Like, what happened? This is just the magic of this training and what it does. So I'm thinking about you and your progress 24/7. Huh? Okay, it's just to give you an idea of what it's like working here. And we had fun, no blaming or complaining for 24 hours. It's back in 2018. Okay, that's a challenge. I'm going to do it. And this is actually when you, if you remember, when the one I shared from Denise, right? So it's in 2018. So we're gonna have lots of fun, and we're gonna cry and laugh together in these 3 months training. If you join one of my group programs, and I'm gonna match you up with 11 other women so that we're 12, okay? And there's gonna be a lot of first times because a lot of my people, my women, haven't done a Facebook Live before. So that's gonna be a first. It's gonna be a first for a lot of things. Okay, I'm working on the 12 principles of relationship. That's a new word for my 12 steps. I like that word. I made a video, but I have challenge posting it. Still not sure how to. So that's big for some people. It's really huge to do your first Facebook Live and have Danish people doing it in English. And I had a lady, this wonderful lady, song live in here for first time. So you get to experience all these first times. It's very emotional, and it's a beautiful room of all these beginnings and challenges. Okay. So just to say that's what happens in there. And this is some of the turnaround, just to see some examples of homework, more love in your life. Yeah, thanks. I'm a calm, happy mood, even when we're, oh, that's a good one. Even when we're 45 minutes late to my sister's party. Imagine that. Imagine being calm when you're 45 minutes late to your sister's party in a happy mood. That's doing really good. That's really managing your emotions. I enjoyed the ride and looked at the bright side of life. Bright side of taking a detour to avoid traffic. Today, my husband and I went to a record shop in Hollywood. We held hands. He opened a car door for me. All these things were a major transformation in this relationship, right? So it's just to share some examples. This is just some screenshots I took from the group. And this is my assistant that helped. My assistant Stephanie helped one of our clients. It was so nice to wake up to that video and feel like at least I'm doing something right. And as a mom, this is for a mom, and also as a wife, but it's so important to feel like you're doing something right. Because most of the time, as a mom, you just wake up and you feel like you failed. So it's great to be in a community where you feel like that you're doing something right. And when somebody believes in you, something magic just happens. Like we all need a coach and a trainer to believe in us, and we can coach ourselves to a certain degree. But it's so much more efficient when somebody else just comes in, and we all need that. I know I do. I can't wait for this journey together and see what else I can become in our time together. It's beautiful. I love this work. Come join us. It's amazing. So this is how the 12 steps are divided up. First, we practice honesty, and something special actually happens in the first 3 steps. It's actually release the past patterns. And then when you go into like number 2, and you practice responsibility. This is really like where you practice leadership. You see no pity parties, no blaming. It's self-love and peace. That's really taking responsibility to go take care of yourself. Give to get. If you want love from your husband, give love, gratitude, all these things. And then in the last third of it, we practice choice. Honesty is a choice. You can also say that trust is a choice. Honesty and vulnerability is a choice. Love him or leave him is not meant for you to leave him. It's meant for you to take that conscious choice to love him, because nobody's forcing you to be there. You don't want to be there if you don't love him, right? So love him, make that choice, and make the choice to fail and recommit. So that's an overall, the 3-month Lead with Love transformation training. And let's see what the next slide has to say. So some examples of what you will learn in the 3 months. You will understand your husband. Explanations with the brain, some brain scans. There's some funny studies. I have a lot of material, and I'll make sure I divide it up so you don't get too much, and we take it bit by bit, but you will get a good understanding of your husband. You will be more patient with your husband, that's for sure. You'll understand the difference between the male and the female brain. And yeah, and I've gone through all the relevant science, and I've picked out just the ones that are most funny and most relevant to you. So I've looked at all these scans. Go to the Gurian Institute on YouTube if you want to learn more. I'm a geek about these things. And it's so funny and interesting and relevant. And then we have some guest teachers in our program. We have the amazing hypnotherapist from Canada, Amanda Jill. She's really, really good at her work. I'm doing her work right now. It's crazy. And we have Dr. Koichi Narusi, who's a body unblocking chiropractor, because they do things I can't do, right? The subconscious mind, Amanda Jill can help you with that. If you get stuck, pull her in. And Dr. Koichi helps you with your body, even on Zoom as well, unblocking chiropractor. So that's to help you release triggers in a way that my training does not cover. Oh, I am so sorry about that. Hold on 2 seconds. Kan jeg ringe tilbage? Alligevel online. Jeg ringer lige om lidt. That was my son. Yoo-hoo, he wants to talk to me. That's fun. Let me wrap this up. Cool. So the first 3 steps you learn, the module 1, let go and release the past. Every new moment has endless possibilities. The past is history, the future is mystery. Now is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Kung Fu Panda. The past is history, so that's what you get to in module 1. You get to release the past. You let go of shame and secrets. You release the past patterns, and you open up to change. And in week 2, you let go of control. You accept and surrender. You stop trying to fix things. And you get ready for change. So week 1, step 1, you get ready for change. You open up to change, and you do it in week 2. And then you start to get ready to receive. And that's by opening up and accepting and surrender. When we're in control and we're pushing for things, we can't receive. By practicing, now it's called accept and surrender. When you practice accept and surrender, stop trying to fix things, you lean back and you get open to receiving, right? So I love step number 2, and it's such a great, you're gonna do this many times, but we're gonna go through it in week 2. Accept as we're to stop trying to fix things. Then you will really open to receiving. And when we're doing like this, we just can't receive. We want it too bad, and we want to fix things, we want to help things, we want to do this. And I remember me telling my mom, and now it's my kid, and my mom saying, no, I'm just trying to help. No, you need to accept and surrender and stop butting in. So that's what you learn, and accept and surrender really is magic. And then, of course, week number 3, trust his love. You stop looking for evidence that he doesn't love you. You remove insecurity from the driver's seat in week number 3, and you learn that, like, boom, you can trust his love at any time. So that's module 1. Module 2 is where you start to lead. You lead where you're going, right? You start to, like, I'm the leader. Everything around me is a consequence of what I send out, right? You take 100% responsibility. You really start to lead yourself. Like, it may feel like you're taking all the blame. Responsibility is something you take. But the cool thing about taking responsibility is that you can do whatever you want. You're empowered. You're the creator of your life. You're the script writer, right? So you lead yourself, and then the beauty, it feels risky to take the blame and to look at yourself and what you've done wrong, what you can do better. Like, it doesn't really look nice. It's not nice to look at yourself. But what's great is that you get a different effect out of your husband. Then it becomes magical, right? So it's take responsibility. It's just a play around in your head where you go, imagine if I'm the king or queen. Like, imagine if I was Obama or some Dalai Lama, some great leader you always looked up to. If I was a queen, how would I act? Like, I would take responsibility. I would take it all on my shoulders and just play around with that. And in week number 5, you really adjust your attitude, because it's a hack. The attitude, the gratitude attitude is amazing. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks so much about it. He has a great way of explaining what it does, how it wires your brain. And we really practice that in week number 5. And you start to see things differently when we practice that. You start to think differently. That's amazing. And week number 6, we practice what is called give to get. So oftentimes we want something, we wait for our husband to give it to us. We want attention, or we want him to listen to us. But when you give what you want, you'll get it back really fast, and you don't have to wait so long. I do apologize for my phone being on today. And when you give to get, you see immediate reaction in his affection and the way he is. So give what we become so desperate. We're so hurt. We want something so bad. But when you can stop and then give it first, even though you feel completely depleted and like, oh, I need water first. I need to save myself first. I need him to just understand this one thing, or I need him to like just give me this attention, and just long stop. Do the opposite. Give what you want to get. Like, even though it feels like you can't give it and you'll get it and it'll feel much better. Otherwise, you're going to stay depleted, waiting for him to do something. It's never going to happen, right? Stepping into your leadership is just, I like to call it give to get, because obviously you want to give, but you're actually giving in order to get. Instead of focusing on what you can get, just give it. So give what you want to get. We should call that. Okay. So module number 3, we go over self-love and peace, which is the brainwave, alpha brainwave state. So I teach you to go into alpha brainwave state. And from this place, everything good happens, right? So there's going to be practices, some focus on that, and to wire your brain into that. And there's some great practices from Dr. Wood. He's a brilliant guy within brain science. And you will learn how to produce more love in your life, so that absolute amount of love you think you're worthy of is going to grow, right? Because we all have this little amount of love we think we're worthy of. When it hit that, which is self-sabotage. But when you use this as self-love and peace muscle, your capacity for love just increases, so that you can take more love in. And that's another way to grow and expand your life with love. That, and also gratitude, of course. So during week number 7, you will see a massive increase in your happiness and your energy level. And it's amazing. And it's also called step number 12, coincidentally. It's also the brainwave state is 7.89 megahertz, which is fun. I found that out later after I made the step. To me, there's swimming in the ocean, in the freezing ocean, butt naked, and during the winter, because it actually hurts if you're swimmer. And then running in the forest and along the sea, and I love that. That to me brings me right in there. And so we're going to find these things and implement them in your life, and you're going to be doing more of that. Week number 8, the magic week. No blaming. You test your leadership. You say and do things different. This is action, right? It's been mindset, attitude. Now it's action. You're no blaming words inside of you, or at least outside of your mouth. And you say and do things differently. You act differently. You get different results. This is where you shift and transform. And week number 9, we're going to practice no pity parties. Amazing, fun, and still it's not fun being in them at all. It's terrible, and they can last days and nights. I've been crying my eyes out, being totally hung up. I remember my pity parties. Like, I can see them, like how my fingers just take over and text message on my phone, all these long, soppy, like ridiculous, but when we get to nip pity parties in the butt, you'll probably never have any more pity parties. Stop hosting your own pity parties. We're going to practice in week number 9. No more wasted tears. Stop producing proof that he doesn't love you, because that's what you're doing when you're hosting your own pity party. You're making up all this proof that he doesn't love you, right? No more self-inflicted pain and pittiness. It's over during week number 9, okay? So this module actively expands your capacity to receive love, module number 3, and transforms your news stories into your outside life. So now you're going to see things different. You're going to see how everything around you is different, and it's amazing, because all that ever changed was inside of you, but your outside world in module number 3, weeks 7, 8, and 9, you're going to see. Like I remember seeing the leaves differently, and the trees look different. Like they're just shining, like. And it's amazing looking at trees like a sculpture, like, wow. Because all this love, you open up to receive it from everywhere. And it's like, you're like on drugs or something. It's amazing. Look forward to it. I can't say that your experience is going to be the same, but I've heard it from a lot of people in these stages. Not the only one. Okay, so module 4, the last 3 steps, 10, 11, and 12. So step number 10, which is week 10, you learn how to create instant connection. That's what you practice. This is the step we're going to practice. It's not like you're not practicing it during the other weeks as such, but this is what we go deep on in week 10. And you see what power you have inside of you, the power to create instant connection at any time. just experience to get more love back, the feedback, the instant feedback and connection by practicing honesty and vulnerability. Week number 11, you practice this, and it's not to leave. A lot of husbands, I don't like step number 11. It's not that you're going to leave him. It's just that you become conscious that you choose him and you say yes to love every day, right? You get certainty of your love, that you chose him. He's just not been thrown in. You choose him actively, right? You get grounded and faded, and really you get grounded and have faith and trust in your love, and that you make that choice, just like you get married again. So you don't just float around. You say you love him or leave him. Okay, this is the way he is. I love him. And you become aware of all the things you love about him. And week number 12, you stand strong in your leadership. You see the gift of learning in everything, and in every trigger, you harvest the gold. And you practice, fail, and recommit. So step number 12, you're going to practice that throughout the program, and you're going to land on step number 1. But the others, you can take one at a time. 1 and 12, they're like continuous, because no blaming. You could risk during a week that you're going to fail and recommit when you practice step number 8. So it's not like they're one after each other. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm not able to see them, but I'll answer them afterwards. Okay. So the rest of your life, after you do these 3 months training, you just fail and recommit. And you do the steps again. Now you have the audio files, you've practiced them, you've done the homework, you've helped other people with it, you've shared, you've laughed, you cried. So you kind of know the steps, right? So I don't need to guide you the rest of your life. You can come back for more if you want, but 3 months is enough. It really is, because it's very intense 3 months. It's not like you have to spend a lot of time on it, but you will automatically be really connected to us and share everything that's going on in this 3 months. So the rest of your life, you just fail and recommit. So you invest 3 months in group training together with 11 other wonderful people. We're going to be 12 students and me and some assistants in the group teaching you the 12 steps. So you get a bonus if you act right now. Many of you on the replay, you can act now too. You get lifetime access if you start the next program. But all you have to do right now, just to consider doing it and get considered, is to schedule a call with us. So we need to find out if it's a good fit for you, because we only take in students that we really believe we can help. It's a matter of where you are in your relationship, but most people who have come this far as a match, but sometimes there can be, I had some young students and some people that were just different, in different places, and I couldn't help them. So it's not always it's a match. So you want to find out if it's right for you, and we want to find out if you're right for the program. So schedule a call with us today and find out if there's something for you. If you do that today, or when you get this replay during the next 72 hours, if you schedule a call with us, you get this bonus that's lifetime access. And I have to put a value on that. Ballpark value is $10,000. I don't know. It's hard to put a value on anyway. But lifetime access to all the material and to trainings, and to actually ask questions in a closed group also, so that you don't just drop it if you have a relapse. We're here for you. It's open to 12 women right now, and it fills up quickly. So apply here, and I'm going to send out this link to you guys who's all been here watching this video, and we'll connect to you and find out if it's a right match. We can use this link. Anyways, we'll figure that out. Just reply to me on email. If you apply and you find out it's not for you, it's okay. You will still get the ebook, Words to Use in Order to Choose Love. And you will also get the 12 Principles to Lead with Love. Cool. I didn't know that. That's a super good bonus. Another bonus for applying right now. I can't remember what I wrote. Okay, you get a deep dive with me. That's me talking to you. I don't take clients in. Yeah, I don't have one-on-one clients anymore. When you get a deep dive with me, you get a one-on-one with me. So that's what I'm saying here. And you get 2 times 20-minute coaching calls. It's a super good bonus, expiring in 72 hours from right now, which is Wednesday, the 15th of July. Okay, just checking the dates. And you get 2 times 20-minute coaching calls during the training with me or one of my assistants. which means throughout the 3 months, if you need some extra one-on-one, you get that. And you have that throughout the 3 months, which is great if you really need more than just a one-on-one, just if something's going on with your homework. But what's really great is sharing in the group as well, but you can still get some one-on-ones. And these are great bonuses. I didn't know they were so great. That's it. So you have 74 hours for that. We don't have time for Q&A because I got to talk to my son. Mwah. But it's been great being with you. This was a little fast and furious, but you got my email. Write to me. Take advantage of this. This expires on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday noon. So Saturday noon Pacific, Standard Pacific time. So this expires, okay? So it was so great to see you guys. Great to be with you. And if we do have any questions, write to me in the chat right now. Sharon, do you have any questions? Sharon McDonald? Questions? You came in a little late. Anyways, okay. Great to see you guys. And thanks for spending time with me. I look forward to seeing your responses. And let's get another group going quickly with 12 other women. That would be awesome. Okay, take care. Let's stop screening the sheet now. Thanks. Bye. Peace. I'm out.